Okay, I had to start over on my video. I ran out of space. But anyways, my video today is somebody asked me to list talk about some of the accessory work and some of the variations that I do to assist my bench. I'm going to go over the accessory work real quick because I don't do a whole lot of it. I don't think that, for me personally, accessory work is that beneficial. I think one thing that's helped me put mass on my triceps, and this is part of the cube method, is the high rep band push downs. I'll do sets of 100 with a Monster Mini, a straight set of 100 with a Monster Mini. A lot of blood pump, a lot of blood flow, helps keep the elbows healthy. Plus it helps give you some hypertrophy work. Put a little bit of mass on the muscle. So I'll do, cube method either has you do 4 sets of 25 or 100 straight reps. I'll do that with band press downs or on the cables. Otherwise, the only other accessory work that I really think that I do that may or may not impact my bench is overhead press, either with dumbbells or sometimes I'll do them with a football bar, or sometimes I'll do them with a regular barbell. I know in the past I made some videos of doing some 1-rep maxes with overhead press, strict press. I don't know how smart that is to do all the time. I was doing it for a Miss competition in bodybuilding.com, so I kind of haven't really been doing that, and I feel like I'm still making progress on my bench, so probably not really going to do that anymore. I might throw in some rep work here and there, but otherwise I'm pretty much going to stick with the band presses and the cable press downs for high reps. Otherwise, I feel like variations of the bench press have really helped me the most. And keep in mind, what I do, what helps me, might not help you. You might be built slightly differently, so you might not get the same benefit that I do. I'll start with some of the things that I used to do before I started running the cube. And this was back when I was doing a West Side type training, when I would do a speed day or a dynamic effort day on Tuesdays, and then Saturdays I would go in and do a max effort. I did basically the same thing every speed day. It was either chains or bands, and I always tried to add chain every workout for like a 4 or 5 week cycle. Then I'd back off for a week and then start over. But on my max effort days, I would pinpoint my weakness. I would figure out where I was having issues. And so if that was off my chest, I would do feet up presses. I would pick a weight that was tough for me to do, and I'd do a bunch of singles. Usually I would start with triples or doubles. Like I said, I always ran through 4 or 5 weeks before I tested my 1-rep max again, and then deloaded for a week and then started over. So I would always start with doubles or triples, and then work my way into some singles. Or instead of feet up pressing for strength off my chest, I would do super long pauses. That always helped. And then if I felt like I was weak at lockout, I would work a 2-board or sometimes even a 3-board press. It gets some weight in my hands. Doubles or triples to start off, and then towards the end of my 4 to 5 week training cycle before I tested again, I would work up to some singles off the 2 or the 3-board. And then another thing that I did every now and again was use the slingshot. And I used the slingshot to overload, strictly to put weight in my hands. So that might mean 455, 475, and I've hit 500, I believe, once or twice in a slingshot. But all that would do for me is allow to feel that weight, and help me feel more comfortable with 100% in my hands instead of 110% or 115%. Here's the thing that I'll say though: be careful with the slingshot. I think that it is a tool that can help you, but if you're a raw bencher, I caution you to use it sparingly. Here's what will happen if you don't. You will develop a weakness off your chest. because it's taking away 10% or giving you 10% off your chest. And if you're not someone who has a weak lockout, be careful, okay? It's not something you use all the time, in my opinion. But back to what I was saying. Once I started doing the cube, I realized that my issue and the thing that's always helped me the most was creating bar speed off my chest, because I feel like once I do that, I don't have a whole lot of trouble locking weight out. So to do that again, presses with my feet up, pausing presses with my feet up really makes it harder. Following the cube methods, reps and percentages. So on a rep day, which usually has you on the incline, I don't do, because the incline hurts my shoulders. I will do feet up paused rep work, and that's usually a set of 8, a set of 6, and a double, I think. For the 3-week waves. And so I feel like that helps a lot. The cube method also calls for a lot of floor pressing. And here's what I think about floor pressing. It's going to be different from every person, or for every person. I can touch my chest while I'm floor pressing. So as I lower the bar, if I stick my chest up a little bit, I use the same range of motion while I'm floor pressing that I would on the bench press. The difference is, 2 differences here. One, I have no leg drive, so it's essentially the same as benching with my feet up. The other thing that adds a lot of difficulty to the lift is the fact that you're unloading a fair amount of tension when you floor press by setting your elbows down on the floor and letting the floor support the weight. You've lost a lot of tension. So it's kind of like a box squat. So for me, the floor press is great for developing pop, explosion, and speed off of my chest. I have training partners, or I have one that I know for sure does more. He can press more from the floor than he can off the bench. And the reason is because he is super weak off his chest, but from a 2 to a 3 board, he's very strong. When he floor presses, when he gets to the floor with his elbows, the bar is at a 2 or a 3 board because of the way he's built. So floor pressing for him is beneficial to his lockout. So you've got to figure out where your weaknesses are. If when you get down to the floor with the bar, with your elbows, and you find the bar at a 2 or 3 board spot, and you have a weak lockout, floor presses are good for you. If you have a weakness off of your chest, and you're doing floor presses, and you find yourself with the bar, a 2 board or a 3 board off your chest, you don't need to be doing floor presses. They're not going to help you. So you just really need to find out where your weaknesses are. Find out what you can do to attack the weaknesses. One thing that I was just thinking about with the floor press is that I know Eric Spoto has talked a lot about hovering. So he'll come down to his chest and he'll get within about 1 inch of his chest and press. He doesn't always take the bar, the full range of motion to his chest. And I know that makes it harder. So for me, I may try here in the next workout or two with the floor presses, instead of deloading it, in other words, instead of taking my elbows all the way to the floor, I may hover just before I get my elbows to the floor and then go back up. I can almost assure you that will make it harder. That variation would also probably be beneficial to me on the actual bench. When I'm arched, I have my leg drive, I may stop 1 inch off my chest. That may be beneficial. And even if you're a person who has the longer upper arms, radius and ulna, if your lockout is weak at a certain point, maybe you do what I just said, hover. So maybe now when you hover, right before your elbows get to the ground, you stop, you're at a 3, a 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5 board press. You can really work that lockout. So those are just some ideas. Obviously, trial and error is the best, but for me, I've always tried to think, I've always tried to be analytical about my bench and where am I weak, and then pick a variation or an accessory that attacks that weakness. Because otherwise, you just go in the gym, and I've seen people do it. People have come in the gym, and they'll be doing something, and I'll go, why are you doing that? Oh, I don't know, I just felt like doing this today. All right, fine. Well, you're doing work, but are you actually doing something that's going to make you better? Just because you're working hard, and just because you're doing something that is tough, doesn't mean you're actually doing something that's going to benefit you, if that makes any sense. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope that it actually helps somebody. Again, take what I say with a grain of salt, because what I do may or may not help you. You've got to find your own weakness and pick a variation or an accessory to attack your weakness. Talk to you guys later.